This podcast is for informational purposes only and should not be considered legal, medical, or mental health advice. The views and opinions expressed by the host of My Brain is a Wonderland are exactly that, views and opinions. This is Emily Ruth Henderson, and I'm the host of My Brain is a Wonderland, the podcast for neurodivergent women and the people who love them. In 2020, after a hellish pandemic, I was diagnosed with ADHD and autism. Surprise! Now, I am passionate about reaching other women just like me who've been pushed aside, ignored, and misdiagnosed for far too long. Each week, I discuss my experience navigating my 30s with these two life-changing diagnoses. There'll be highs, there'll be lows, and everything in between when you join me for Season 3 of My Brain is a Wonderland. Hello everyone, and welcome back to My Brain is a Wonderland. You're here with your host, as always. And today, we are going to take a break from our Masking Autism series. That wasn't a plan, but I'm doing that because actually something really interesting happened over the weekend that I wanted to talk about and just bring to everyone's attention with regards to autism. And maybe some of you will feel like, oh, it's not that important or interesting, but it really fascinated me, and so I wanted to talk about it with all of you guys and make sure that you were all aware. So I saw it in the news, and then I went to this person's Instagram page where they announced it, but Tallulah Willis, I'm not sure if Willis actually is her last name, she may have changed it or, gotten married and changed it or what have you, but Tallulah Willis, who is one of Bruce Willis's daughters, Bruce Willis, God, if you don't know who that is, I'm going to explain it just in case there's someone listening who doesn't know. Bruce Willis is a very famous actor, very great guy, apparently. He was in a lot of action movies. He was the lead in Die Hard. He's been in lots of great movies that everybody loves. He was very famous in the 90s, like really, really big stuff. And him and his wife, Demi Moore, were a total it couple in the 90s, and he was always very gracious, and his movies were always fun to watch. And he actually has been diagnosed with aphasia, which I believe is a certain type of dementia, and he's not doing very well, so this actually adds a whole other layer to this. But Tallulah Willis is his daughter. She is 30 years old, and she just announced on her Instagram page, in what I think is one of the most autistic ways, that she is autistic. She revealed that she was diagnosed with autism. She didn't say, any much more than that, what level. She commented a little bit on the post, and I'll talk about it here. But she basically posted a video of her and her dad, Bruce, at a public event. It looked like it was probably a movie premiere. And they're on the red carpet, and she said, "Tell me you're autistic without telling me you're autistic," with the laughing face emoji. And I think that was just the way of coming out without having to be verbose, without having to explain, without having to get into it a whole bunch, just kind of a subtle, like, this is me saying I'm autistic. And the video's really interesting. I really recommend you guys look up the video because you'll see in real time what it can look like to be an autistic child. Her Instagram is Buuski, Buuski. I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing that right, but Buuski. And she basically posted a video of her dad holding her. And I was thinking before recording this podcast, I'm not sure how old she was, maybe 7 or 8 in the video. But young and old, small enough to be held. And then I was like, well, it's Bruce Willis. So most people are small enough to be held by Bruce Willis back then when he was, big strapping and all that stuff. So he's holding her. And it's also an amazing visual of an amazing parent, in my opinion. He's holding her up and she's right by his face. And he's talking, he's doing interviews. You can't hear the sound so much. And actually, Tallulah expresses on the Instagram post in some comments that she wishes it was louder so she could hear what he was saying, how his tone was changing. But she is stimming on his bald head. So Bruce Willis is a famously bald actor. In Die Hard, he was starting to lose his hair, and he went fully bald when he was relatively young, maybe in his 30s. And she is rubbing his head, poking it, playing with his ear, and he just continues talking and being interviewed while she does this. I mean, he's just allowing her to do it, right? Is very comfortable with her doing it. And if she got diagnosed when she was 30, so this is, 25, 20-something years later, it wasn't noticed that that was stimming. But it does seem that maybe Bruce, as her father, knew that this is what she needed, that this is what made her comfortable, or that he loved her and didn't care what she was doing, that it didn't harm anybody. I think there's some actors, right, just because of the nature of the industry and who can get into it, that first of all, wouldn't take their child to a premiere, and if they did, wouldn't hold them, right? They might have them walking around, holding their hand, and also wouldn't be comfortable with their child displaying that kind of, behavior, but that kind of behavior that maybe seems out of the norm. I think a lot of children, even at that age, might realize that that's not something they should be doing, is playing with their dad's bald head in public while he's being interviewed. But it's clearly accepted by him. It's clearly something that he's happy to have her do. He clearly loves her very much. And if you've been following his diagnosis of aphasia, it's clear that they also, his kids, love him very much and had a great relationship with him and still continue to do so. And so I really implore you guys to go watch that video. Maybe you'll recognize some behaviors in yourself. It's really interesting. We didn't grow up in front of a camera. Most of us probably listening here. I most certainly didn't. And in the 90s and 80s, 70s, all those times before now, we didn't have cameras around all the time unless you were an actor like Bruce Willis, right? You wouldn't be seen on camera candidly very often. We wouldn't have a video camera around. Really, it would be very middle to upper class people might have a camera, but to capture certain things in the family, but very rare, right? I mean, I don't know anyone growing up who had a video camera they would carry around. We did get a really cheap one when I was a teenager, and I used it to make, I think it was from Index or Argos in England, catalog, and so really cheap. And I think it was a birthday or Christmas gift, and I used it to make stop motion videos with Barbie dolls and things like that. And I used it to make a video for a class project one time. But you aren't in front of the camera all the time, so someone my age, in my 30s, really doesn't have any video of myself, candid or in any way really, that shows me acting in a way that is unmasked or maybe seen as autistic or having ADHD. And so I think this is really valuable footage for Tallulah, absolutely. And I think valuable footage for any woman or person listening who is autistic or stims to really go look at it and see if you recognize what she's doing and the way she's doing it in yourself. And it did pain me a little bit to watch it because I didn't have that support and acceptance. I'm not sure, when I was growing up is what I mean. Like, I'm not sure if my mom would have allowed me to do that. That if we were in public, and, she wasn't an actress or anything, but even in public around other people, I'm not sure that my mom would have been comfortable with me kind of like touching her hair and touching her ear and her face and things like that. And also I think she's neurodivergent. So that may be a sticking point for her. Like, don't touch me, I'm sensory overloaded, that kind of thing. But I also feel like she would have felt not ashamed, maybe embarrassed, right? Like you're being weird. You're being weird in front of people. I don't think she would have done that in our own home with our direct family members, like my grandparents. But I think if she was out in a public setting where you're trying to present yourself, and maybe it's like a neighbor or an acquaintance or someone you know from work, that she would not have been comfortable with me doing that. And I think that speaks to not only Bruce Willis's parenting, but it also speaks to the position that he is in and that Tallulah is in. And I just want to speak to that real quick as well. I don't think that there is anyone listening here who is famous or in the public eye. If there is, please reach out to me because I would love to know, or just follow me on social or something. But, I really doubt that anyone listening is, an actor, actress, public figure, anything like that. But Tallulah is fortunate enough that she is in a position where maybe, of course, it's always hard to be diagnosed with these things and to come out about it, but she's in a unique position where it's probably not going to affect her job, how much money she makes, her effectiveness in making money or at a job. I'm not sure what she does for work, if she does work, and that's not a criticism. If I was Bruce Willis and I'd been having kids and making all his money, I would have set up trust funds for my kids. I would have set up, investments for them, and hopefully they are reaping those benefits. But I really wish more people like Tallulah, who are in her position, if they have been diagnosed and they've settled with it. She was diagnosed last summer. I don't know if I mentioned that. So it's been almost a year, right? Depending on when she was diagnosed. And I really wish more people in her position would come out and just say, you don't have to get into it like she did. You don't have to do a whole interview in People magazine or have a sit down with Diane Sawyer and make it a whole to-do. But just saying, I am autistic, or I have ADHD, or I'm bipolar. That just made me think of Catherine Zeta-Jones. She came out as bipolar, it was private, but notoriously, she was with Michael Douglas. They split and separated for a while. They'd already had 2 teenage kids. They came back together, and she came out and said that she had bipolar and had struggled with it, didn't know. And that can cause a lot of issues if you don't know. And so she's also in that position, right? Where by saying I'm bipolar at that position in her life probably wouldn't have stopped her earning potential. And really at that point, she doesn't do movies anymore because she didn't need to earn any more money. I wish people, if someone like Paris Hilton knows or is diagnosed with something, would come out and say that she has it. It's not going to affect anything it's not a threat to her. It could be, and I'm not saying forcing people to come out. I'm not saying everyone should. But if you are in a unique position where you have supportive family, you're not afraid that you would be marginalized by your own loved ones, ignored or pushed out or become estranged from because of this. If you know you have a good support system around you so that you don't feel threatened in your personal life to come out, and or you've already come out to your, close friends and family. And if you were in a position where, you have a trust fund, or you make hundreds of millions of dollars, or you've already made hundreds of millions of dollars, I wish those people would come out more. And I've noticed that, ADHD is like the one that is fun, and that it's kind of blah, that, oh, you forget things. Oh, you like to watch a lot of TV, or you don't show up on time, or like, ha ha ha. Like at work, I hear so many women, and I honestly don't know if they have ADHD. I really don't know, because so many people now will just be like, oh, it's like ADHD or something. We'll kind of use it as this like, oh, I forgot, oh, ADHD. And I'm like, do you have ADHD? Is that you subtly coming out? Or you're making a joke that it's like having ADHD? I really can't tell. And people just the fact that people are comfortable saying that, right? Saying, oh, it's my ADHD in a work setting, that it is kind of acceptable to say you have ADHD, more so than saying I'm autistic. It's really, in my opinion and experience, when you tell people you have ADHD, they go, oh, okay. And then you say, and autism, they go, oh. Or, oh, wow, huh. That one is, I feel like less people come out because it has more negative connotations around it, kind of a stigma that is, or people are uncomfortable around it because there's less awareness. Maybe there's been more awareness around ADHD, and that has kind of made it flourish a little bit in society in terms of people just saying, oh, you have ADHD? That makes sense. You know, you never show up on time. You eat a lot, you know, blah, whatever their preconceived notions of ADHD are. And when I did first start coming out to family, that was a reaction from a family member that was, I said I was diagnosed with ADHD. Oh, and autism. Oh, right? That just like, what? And I wish more people who were in a position where they feel safe, they feel loved, they don't feel like it will threaten their earning potential would actually come out and say that they are autistic. Daryl Hannah is an actress who has come out and spoken about being autistic. I think she came out later in like maybe in the late 90s or very recently. I can't remember now. But she was notoriously a very shy actress. When she did red carpets, she wasn't very talkative. She had kind of a small smile, was very quiet, wasn't a very gregarious person in public. She also just talked recently, I was reading an interview with her, where she talked about how in Splash, which was her first major movie, and if you haven't seen Splash, run, don't walk, go watch it. It is about a mermaid. It's an amazing movie with Tom Hanks and John Candy, and it's just a lovely, amazing, great movie. And she is a mermaid in it, and I think maybe because of The Little Mermaid and getting sued, they didn't want her to wear a shell bra like Ariel does in The Little Mermaid. I'm wondering if, you know, they could have been sued by Disney because she looked too much like Ariel, even though she was blonde and she had like an orange tail. And actually, as I'm saying this, maybe they just wanted her boobs out because, you know, that was the time. And it was like, we don't want to put a bra on you, so you're going to have your boobs out. And what they did is they had her, I don't know if she grew her hair or it's fake, and she has very, very, very long hair that covers her breasts when she's doesn't have her clothes on and is, you know, in her mermaid tail or whatever. And she said that when she found that out, she was really, I don't want to, this isn't a quote, but she was like uncomfortable. She didn't like the idea of it. She was 23 at the time. And she actually says that she'd never had a boyfriend at that time, which that's classic autistic woman. I'm not sure about men. I can't speak to if that's an experience for autistic men, but classic experience of autistic women is you're a late bloomer emotionally and sexually because you are kind of trying to tap into your emotion and you don't like, you know, strangers touching you. It's hard to connect with people that you don't know very well. So you could infer from that a couple of things. She'd never had a boyfriend. Maybe she was a virgin. Who knows? But her talking about that experience is so valuable to our community so that we know that that is quote unquote normal, that it's not strange to not want people to maybe see your body if you're autistic. You might feel uncomfortable in your own body. You might feel uncomfortable getting close to people and it takes longer. It might take you until your 20s or later to have sex or kiss somebody or even, you know, get close to somebody emotionally or sexually. And I really appreciate her doing that and coming out. But if I'm really honest, when I Google, because sometimes I'll look up who has come out as having ADHD or being autistic, there's lots of celebrities who say they have ADHD. I was going to say Emma Stone, but it's not. It's the Emma. Is it Emma? God, I don't know. I'm not a Harry Potter fan. It's Hermione from Harry Potter. She has ADHD and has come out and talked about it. Renee Rapp has ADHD. She's that fabulous singer in the new Mean Girls movie, Broadway star, just incredible person. And actually, if you watch interviews with her, there's kind of a kinship there. Very talkative, very gregarious, very just like hitting every comedic note. She kind of reminds me of me when I'm just rocking it, when I'm in a conversation and I'm just like, yeah, I know what I want to say. I know how I want to be. I feel confident around these people. So, there's quite a few actors, that male and female, who have said I have ADHD. But when you Google how many have autism, there aren't many. Actually, why don't I, on this recording right now, I'm going to Google it right now. And you might be surprised by the people I say who have autism. So I just clicked on this Behavioral Innovations article that says 20 famous people who have autism or had autism, aren't alive anymore. And it's mostly men. One of them is Dan Aykroyd, another famous actor, was in the Ghostbusters. I believe he's in the new Ghostbusters movie. Daryl Hannah's on there. Oh, Anthony Hopkins has autism. I think he talked about that. I'm not sure. He was diagnosed with Asperger's as a child. And I don't know if he talked about that or just started talking about it. I'm not sure. Tim Burton is autistic. He is a fabulous director. Let's see. Yeah, I mean, there isn't... Jerry Seinfeld is autistic. I knew that. See, more men. Elon Musk. And end of the list. Like, there aren't, Yeah, if you look at people asked what famous actress has autism, Daryl Hannah. There just aren't many people who come out and say, I'm autistic, as opposed to ADHD. And I know you're out there. There's got to be more people out there, maybe less inclined to be an actor, because I think ADHD lends itself to the stage, maybe more so than autism does. That's my experience. My ADHD is very creative. So is my autism, but it's a quiet creative that I keep to myself. My ADHD is, I talk with my hands. I'm very physical with my body through my ADHD. I enjoy the outlet and energy. I used to be a professional dancer. That I enjoyed that because I could get out all of my energy that would come from being hyperactive and that kind of stuff. So maybe there are, less people who are autistic, but I wouldn't even say that Dan Aykroyd comes across as kind of a quiet person. I believe he was on SNL. He was a comedian. He seemed quite gregarious. And so just to kind of wrap this up, if anyone is out there listening, and this could be in the future, maybe someone in 5 years listens to this when, I'm famous and stuff. But if anyone's out there or knows anyone who has power, who can, take that leap to actually say that they are autistic out in public because they don't have that threat of losing everything, losing their family, losing their job, being discriminated in a way that will really affect them. And I'm sure that, Tallulah, I'm not sure, but I'm guessing, Tallulah, Daryl Hannah, they've probably gotten some online hate. I see some things on Reddit sometimes that aren't even directed at me that I just am like, oh, I was sorry, squirrel. But, oh gosh, what is her name? The girl from Euphoria who was in Madam Web. She's blonde. She's gorgeous. Great actress too. If you've seen Reality, the movie Reality about Reality Winner. Oh my God, she's so good. Sydney Sweeney. Sydney Sweeney. I saw a post of her on Reddit. They were just posting a picture of her outfit because she's been getting, just gorgeous dresses lately that just look so great on her. And someone posted, I see a bit of the tism in her. And I said to my husband, I was like, that is so rude. First of all, how dare you kind of guess? Maybe she does, and that's, she doesn't want to come out right now, but when you're a millionaire, billionaire, please do. And also, you can't tell from looking at someone, and just the kind of the tism feels like it really infantilizes it and really kind of makes it this like dirty thing. Instead of saying, oh, I wonder if she's autistic, just kind of putting that question out there. It was just this statement that made me feel gross. And so I bet there are people, if you come out autistic, you get a bit of online hate, you know, you get sent these things. I am fortunate that I haven't yet. And because probably no one cares about me in that way, you know, no one's like, well, how dare this autistic creator be out there? I mean, I think most of the people listening are autistic or have ADHD or are close to someone who does. And so you're not going to send that hate. And it's really once you get big and famous is when that happens. So that's horrible, right? I don't want that to happen to people. And I don't want people to feel forced. But people who are thinking about if it would help, will it do something? Would it help the community? Would it help someone else like me? Yes, it would and it will. If you come out like I have, and I see how many people listen to this podcast, I see what my reach is, and I see how many people this is helping, how many reviews I get, the written reviews that say this is helping me. This is the one I read a few episodes ago where she said, this is changing my life. I really want people to realize that you have that power. If you are safe and secure and have the money and have the success and have the support of your family and you want to help others, it's not to, I mean, it would help you too, maybe, to come out and just kind of be open and just be like, it's not a secret that I have to keep anymore. Or connect with others just like you. I just implore anyone in that position to really consider coming out, whether you have ADHD or autism or another neurodivergency, OCD, bipolar, schizophrenia. Really, I implore you to consider doing that. And so that was really just what I wanted to say on my episode today, that I love it when I see people in the public come out, and especially women. You know, I don't really relate to Albert Einstein, who was an autistic scientist. I hate science. I don't really get math. There could be a bit of dyscalculia there. I don't really relate to that. I don't relate to Elon Musk. I don't like space. My husband knows I don't like space. It scares the freak out of me, the idea of being in space. I don't like sci-fi that's set in space. It's really not my thing. So it would help people if more varied people could come out and we could share our experiences and we could lift the veil on this thing, lift the veil, bring it to light, take it out of the darkness, because truth always comes out from the light and darkness is only where secrets and sadness dwell. And so, yeah, thanks for listening, guys. I will be back tomorrow with the next Friends Fixation episode. And then next week, unless someone else comes out, we will be wrapping up the Masking Autism series. So thanks for tuning in, and I will see you tomorrow for the next episode of My Brain is a Wonderland. Bye-bye.